Hello guys and welcome to my channel. It's been a while, but here I am coming back again, and this time I'm going to keep producing a little bit more constantly the video tutorial. Now, the scope of this video tutorial today is to explore displacement, which is the network that we are going to recreate later in Touch Designer with this network over here. And basically I explain all type of displacement that you can do in Touch Designer. For this one over here, I'm going to add in a constant, just as usual, chops. And then I'm going to put in, I'm going to rename this one resolutions. And res x. Res y. Okay. And for the resolutions over here, I'm going to recreate the resolutions of Instagram post, which is 4.5, 4.5. So as a result, I'm going to type in 1024 by 1228, 1280s. All right. And I have the resolutions over here. And then I'm going to add in a text tops. And I'm going to write names, customize the text over here. So I'm going to write something displays, for example. And for the size over here, I'm going to reduce it a little bit, and the fonts over here I'm going to use Arial, and then going to choose black. Okay, displacement, and maybe I will put this one as uppercase, so it's easier. It looks better, much better. All right. So with the text over here, I'm going to explain very basic functions of displacement. Okay. So displace is available in. If you press tab, you'll be able to access the top. Okay. And then you can type in displays. And then you can plug the input of the texture over here, displays to displacement. All right. But here there will be an error. Let's say that not enough source specified. Basically over here, to be able to display an image, you need a displacement image. And basically it's, normally speaking, it's just a black and white picture or monochrome pictures with black and white values. So basically the displacement, let me show you this illustration over here. Right, so just a little bit about the displacement over here. Basically, displacement is a method to create details on 3D geometries, but it also applies to the wrapping of the 2D image using a source image, such as in the display top in Touch Designer, but the principle is the same. Basically, if you have a black and white pictures, the part that is darkest or black is going to be flat, okay? And the part that is having any kind of colors, lighter or brighter than black is going to be extruded, or is going to be displays, okay? So the same thing goes here for the display tops. Okay, you need a black and white pictures plug it in the displacement image over here to be able to displace it. And according to the pixel on the picture is going to displace the image. So I'm going to add in, I'm going to press tab and I'm going to add in a noise top, all right, to create this kind of texture image. Okay, and I'm going to plug this in here. You're going to see that it's basically scatter the text because it's taking this information of the pixel, all right, on the black and white texture over here and try to first this top is going to UV map. Okay, what does mean UV map? Is mean that it's going to try to wrap this image on top the displacement text on top of the displacement image, and then it's going to take the black and white information on the displacement text over here and move it on the x and the y axis. Okay, so one pixel is going to be moved by this image over here. Okay, on the x and y axis, and as a result, you have this displacement. All right. If you click on the displacement over here, you go into displace weight. It's at 1, very high, and as a result, you see the text being scattered or destroyed. Now, if we hover the middle mouse button over here and scroll down, okay, by an increment of 0.1, okay, you're gonna see that the text will be recovered. All right. If we switch this one to a smaller increments, we'll be able to see the displacement gradually happenings. Okay. Okay, so this is basically the displacement. Okay. And we can plug in this value into the commons resolutions, chop reference, and then chop reference as well, so that we have the input of the text over here with corresponding resolution that we have set at the beginning. The text is a little bit small, so we can actually increase the size of it a little bit. All right. So now you have a displacement over here. The next task is to add in a expressions or functions in a way that you can automate the animations of this value over here. Now, to be able to do that, if we go into the transform over here, you're going to see that if we change any of these values, you're going to see an animation happen. This is X, horizontal, Y, vertical, and Z. Okay, so Z basically over here, this is 3 vector X, Y, Z, and the representation of the picture is just 2D, but actually, if you move the Z over here, you're going to see that the position of the black parts and the white parts of the image actually change. Okay, so this is basically like moving the texture on the z-axis. Okay, so I'm going to add in an expression over here, and I'm going to type in ADS time dot second, and I'm going to let it run. All right. And you're going to see the text over here being converted into this blue color, which means that the expression has been activated. All right. And if you take a look at the image over here, it's actually animating. Okay. Now the noise might be a little bit too fast, so I'm going to multiply it by 0.1 just to make everything a little bit less intensive. Okay, and if you play around now with the value of the displaced weight, you're gonna see that it's create different displacement. Okay, and if you play around with the noise value over here, for example, if you play around with the period, you're gonna see that the displacement is going to increase. I'm going to increase the value of displacement, of the noise of the period over here, just to create this kind of very smooth or liquefy effects. Okay, and if I reduce this value, it's almost like a the surface of a swimming pool. Let's put it that way. Okay, and if I increase this value of harmonic gains, you're gonna see more displacement happening. This one is more or less like the raindrops on a mirror or glass, something like that. And if I decrease the exponent over here, you're gonna see the edges of the displacement basically. Okay, so this is very nice effects, and you see the noise here change as well. The basically the contrast between the highest value and the lowest value, black and white, has been increased. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this one, and afterward I can output this one to an out. Okay, and to be able to make it displace on the sides over here, we need to go back to the container. So I'm gonna press U to go up one level. All right, and you see by default this is the container where the effects is going to be stored. And on the layout over here, we have the width and the height, and basically we need to have the same value of the width and the height from the constant. So we're going to divide the screens, and then I'm going inside of the container, click on this button, view active, so that I can take the values from the resolutions over here, and then I drag and drop it, chop reference. Okay, so now if I click on this button, pane type, I go into panels. This is the result of the output that we are going to have. Okay, so that's the first very simple demo of the displacement with a RAM. So I'm gonna type in displace again and plug this one in, and then I'm going to add in a RAM, and I'm going to plug it in into the displays over here, and you're gonna see that it displays the tag too much. Okay, because if we take a look at the displacement by default is 1, and we want to reduce this one to small values. All right, so let me just restore the and put this one as something like this, 0.1 only. Okay, and now if I move the phrase over here, you're going to see this kind of animations, and basically this is if I reduce this, it's basically moving the texture from left to right and increase it, it moves to right to left. Okay, if I add in an ABS time dot second and multiply it by 0.1, okay, you're gonna see that displacement is going to increase from left to right. Okay, and maybe this one I'm going to reduce the period so there will be more grid being created, and right away you're gonna see this kind of displacement happenings on the text. Okay, so basically this is the program, the text being displaced by the grid system that we have created with a RAM over here. Okay, and if you play around with the mirror over here, extend mirror, you're gonna see that it's going to, in a way, it's going to smooth out instead of this very sharp edges, it's going to blend out the texture, and as a result, you're gonna see this kind of very smooth displacement, more or less like the one that you have over here, of course, with a lower amplitudes. Okay, so same techniques, sorry, same effects, but with different techniques. Okay, now basically we have two visuals, and to be able to alternate between these two visual, we need to add a switch top into the notes. So I'm gonna press tab to go into the top, and then switch. All right, and the switch top over here is basically allows you to switch between different tops. So I'm gonna plug this one in, one input, two inputs, and the output is going to be plugged to the out. Okay, and then on the switch over here, if I press P and I open the side menu. If I go into the index and increase the values, you're going to see that the visual is going to change. Okay, and to make this easier, I'm going to add in a keyboard in chops into the notes, and basically in the keyboard in over here, we can set the key over here, any keys that you like, but just for the simplicity of this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it as 1. So every time that we press 1, the value is going to be inputted, and you see this is working. Okay, and I would need the cow chops, and if I plug the input over here, basically the cow chops over here will allow you to add in one values or a certain value every time that this key is pressed to the value that you are working with. So just for example, if I press 1 and this one is giving me like the value of 1 over here, every time that I press the buttons, it's going to add in 1 values to the value over here. Okay, so that's is the functions of the cow chops. If you click on the cow tab over here, there's a function that you loop the values in terms of min and max. Okay, so if I click over here, loop min and max is mean that the number is going to go up to 10 and then go back to 0. Okay, so just for the simplicity of this, I'm going to keep this one as 2 for now. Okay, so every time it's going to 2, it's going back to 0. Okay, and you can also decrease the count. Okay, by this function over here, off to ons. Okay, so every time that we trigger these buttons, it's going to go from it's going to decrease the number. Okay, and for now, I'm just going to keep it at increase. Okay, and then click on these buttons, right clicks, and then we're going to release this on the index chop reference. Okay, so now basically the number is going to go from 1 to 2. Sorry, from 0 to 2. We don't have the 2 yet because if you take a look at the input over here, the first input that goes into the switch top is going to have the value, the order number of 0, and then the second one is going to take 1. Okay, this is just the way Touch Designer works and other programming language works. So the first input is always going to be 0. Okay, so that's about the mechanism of the counting over here. All right, and then we can start creating other effects as well. Okay, so we have this one which is a displacement on the x-axis. How about replicating the same displacement, but this time we do it on the y-axis, and I'm going to add a node over here, then put it over here. Okay, in Touch Designer you can copy and paste any values over here by Control C and Control V, and then just copy and paste directly into the nodes over here. All right, and this one I'm going to call it displays XY. Okay, now in the RAM over here, I'll be able to create a vertical RAM as well, and you're going to see the displacement is going to from the bottom to the top. And if we compose these two RAM together, we be able to create a basically a grid. All right, so let me just add in a composite, and then I'm going to copy this one because I don't want to make everything confusing. So I'm going to copy this one and then paste it over here. So we have vertical stripe and horizontal stripe. Sorry, vertical stripe and horizontal stripe. And then we're going to put one input on the top over here, one input on the bottoms, and we have a grid that is moving diagonally. Okay, and if we plug this compositions over here, I can add this to multiply. Yes, if I put this composition over here, composite over here under the input of displays, we're gonna have this displacement going on. All right, and compared to the reference, maybe the text over here is a little bit too the type or the square over here is just a little bit too big. We can reduce the period 0.5, for example, and this one as well 0.5. Okay, and we have this beautiful displacement. Now, what if you want to create a loop animation? Because in the reference over here, you're going to see that the letter A is actually going from left to right. Okay, so we can do this by using the a loop functions in Touch Designer as well. And to be able to create a loop animations, okay, I will use the LFO chops. So LFO chops over here is basically a web generator. Let's put it that way. Okay, now, what do I mean by web generator? That add in a trail. This is just to show you how does it functions in realities. So the LFO over here is basically values that run from -1 to 1. Okay, and trail chops over here is a very useful chops to use to be able to visualize mathematical values in Touch Designer. Okay, And over here, you're going to see that it's go from -1 to 1, okay? Because if we go into the details or the properties of the LFO over here, the frequency over here determines how fast this wave is going to be generated. If I decrease this one, you're going to see that the distance between this wave being reduced means that's going faster. Okay, if I decrease it, you're going to see the parabol over here being created much slower. Okay, and the distance between them is much slower. So I'm going to put this one as 1 again. The amplitude over here is basically determine the value between the minimums and the maximum values. If I increase this to 2, okay, you're going to see that it's go from -2 to 0 and then to 2. Okay, so the amplitude over here is multiplies, not multiplies, sorry, is added on top of the 0 values. Okay, so basically, if I increase this one is 3, it means that the minimum and maximum is going to go from -3 to 3. Okay, if I right click over here and I change this one to grid detail mediums, you're going to see that's actually going to 3. Okay, and this is just to show you the function of this LFO. How does it work? Okay, and then we can use this LFO and we fit it into a math. Okay, I'm going to add in the math chops and I plug this in. Now I leave this here because basically the math chops over here is going to have us convert the value of this LFO into the value of the pixel of moving the texture from left to right, basically. And we can copy this notes over here on top. And instead of using the ABS time over here, we're going to use basically the chops over here to create a loop animations. And we need to be able to define how this loop is going to look. Okay, we want it to move from left to right and then going back. Okay, so we go, if I press the middle mouse button over here and I choose 0.01, I'll be able to move it from left to right. So basically this is the value of the maximum and the minimum values is going to be from, and I don't want this to be moving too much. Okay, I just want to create this kind of looping animations. Okay, so basically it's going to be from -0.5 -0.6 to -0.5, let's put it that way. Okay, and I can use the math chops over here. So if you go into the math chops, you're going to see that in the range over here, you can actually convert the values from one values that is basically from -3 to 3, okay, to another values. Okay, let me demo this for you. Now if I put this one as -3 to 3, okay, and range over here I do again, this is minimum and this is maximum, okay, of the original values, and this is minimum maximum of the new values. Okay, so we're going to put in 0.6 and range is minus 0.5. And afterwards, you're gonna see that the values over here is running from left to right over here, from minus 3 to 3 basically, and now it's just running from minus between minus 0.5 and minus 0.6. All right. So now if we go into the math chops over here, click on view items, we can drag and drop this to the phrase. Okay. Chop reference, and you're gonna see the values over here running from left to right, and it's make the texture moving from left to right. Okay, very subtle. And then we can displace it again. I'm going to add in a displace. I need to put the text, not this texture, all right? And reduce this one to 0.1 and 0.1 as well. Okay, and you have this animation going on. It's basically a loop. Okay, from left to right, and then I can just you're gonna see that it's going too fast. So basically, we can reduce this value frequency to make the distance between the wave over here a little bit too bigger, and as a result, you're gonna see that the animation actually is slower. Okay, maybe a little bit too slow. I'm gonna put it 0.8. Okay, and you have this this animation going on. Okay, from left to right. So basically what we do here is moving the texture image from left to right, okay, in a loop, and it's created kind of displacement of distortion on the text as well. Okay, and then this one I'm going to plug it into the switch over here, but before that I'm going to add it to a null so that we so null over here is just basically a empty, let's put it that way, empty top so that we can store information over here. And I use it to organize projects, to rename it. So later I can come back to it later, and it's easier to track the visual. Okay, so displacement, LFO. Okay, let's put it that way. Now afterwards, you can just plug this displace LFO into the switch. All right. And you're gonna see that this is the effect that we have just created, but it doesn't look like the reference. Now, this is because we have a loop animations, but we need to modify the grid over here. To basically, if you take a look at the grid over here, it displays both on the Y and the Z axis. So we need to remove the displacement on the Y-axis. We go back to displace and then zero out this Y value. Okay, so now we have displacement only on the X-axis. Okay, and then you're gonna see that the displacement over here is happening because over here basically we have on the RAM over here as well, we have the RAM set to repeat, and as a result you see all this sharp edge. And if you switch this one to mirror, you're gonna see that the displacement on the y-axis is removed. Okay, and we have this displacement only on the x-axis, and with the grids only apply to the x-axis. Okay, now we can either play around with the displacement period, with the RAM period over here to customize the grid. Okay, or there's a quicker way that we can do this. Okay, it's by we going to set up the resolutions. of the grid over here, so that we can control how much or how many tile, how many little square we be able to display the text. Okay, and to be able to do that, we can use a constant job again. And this time we're going to call this one tile resolution. This one is going to be X and Y because basically we're going to make a square texture. All right. And now if we click on the viewer active and drag and drop it to the resolutions and put this one to resolution as well. Okay. You're going to see that because the resolution now is 1. So basically the textures move from left to right. But if we switch this on to 20, you're going to see a displacement happens. And the nice thing about this method is you can customize the resolutions of the grids. And it's going to create the larger the bigger the numbers, the more resolution is going to be. For example, I put this one as 256, okay? And you're gonna see this displacement happens. And one last thing we want to make sure that, okay, on the comments over here, everything is set to nearest pixel. Now, why does it matter? Because basically we're telling Touch Designer that don't interpolate the pixel over here, don't blend them together, but make them with a sharp edge. So and also over here, nearest pixel. Now, after we're done with this, we have basically 4 visual going on. And I'm going to explain the last method in this series, which is time displacement. So how can you displace the text using time displacement instead of texture displacement? Okay, so to be able to do this, we're going to copy this text over here, put it down here. Okay, and basically instead of moving the texture over here, okay, we're going to use the LFO to move the text from left to right. Okay, and then use functions to displace it in time. And let me just do this, and then we going to dig deep into this. Now, on the LFO, I'm going to add in a math again. And then I can put this one into the math. And on the range over here, again, it's -3 and 3. And I'm going to move this one on the positions over here, basically. And I can move this one using the middle mouse buttons and try to move it. Right. Increments of 1. Let's see. 2, 0. So basically, this is -60. And on the other side, I guess it's going to be 60. Oh, my values over here is going to be -60 to 60. Let's put it that way. On the map over here, I'm going to be E. Now the LFO is going to run from 60 to -60 to 60. And then I can use a null job set to, if it's a name, I'll store the value over here and let's call this one text. Okay, it's a good practice to export the value to a nulls to store the value on the nulls and then rename it, because later on we can see the relation between the chops and the tops, and if this one is properly named, we'll be able to revisit it. Okay, and I'm going to drag and drop this one into the positions chops reference. Okay, so now you're going to see that over time this tag is going to move from left to right. Okay, create this kind of looping animations. It's a little bit too slow. I can go back to the LFO and increase this one to 0.2. Yeah, let's see this. And then we can plug this into a texture 3D top. Now, basically, the texture 3D tops over here is, you take a look at this, it's basically store each frame of the tops over here into a tops, basically. And the cap size over here is 32, meaning that there's 32 frames being stored in this top. Okay, and then we can use a time machine, this one in. Okay, and over here we need a displacement texture. Okay, and I can be one of this texture over here, or I can take the noise texture over here and copy this one, but instead of noise texture that is moving, I'm going to, over here I need a texture, so I'm going to add in a noise. You're going to see that it displays it. It's creating this kind of liquid displacement. Okay. If I'm going to use this resolutions, tile resolutions over here, log in. And if I put this one to nearest pixel, and on the time machines over here, the black offset over here is going to be the values of the frame that we have stored in the texture 3D. So if I decrease this one to 32, minus 32, you're going to see this thing happens. And if I move this one to nearest pixel, you're going to see this displacement happening. Okay, so this is basically another method to displace the text. Okay, using time instead of moving texture itself. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to add in another now. Put this one over here and call this one displacement. Okay. Now this one is very common effects, which if you look up for it on the internet, it might be called slit scan effects or time displacement effects. Okay, and I'm going to plug this one into the switch. Put this one over here and another switch. So finally we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 input